The Coral Triangle stretches across 6 million square kilometers, covering the land and waters of Indonesia, Malaysia, Papua New Guinea, the Philippines, Timor-Leste, and the Solomon Islands. It is a global center of biodiversity and home to some 363 million people, many of whom depend on its marine and coastal resources to survive.
Most of our people are fish-eating people, which are very dependent on the health of the coastal and marine area.
Even as it is a place of abundance and beauty, it is also under pressure from a myriad of threats, including unsustainable fishing, pollution, and climate change, jeopardizing the very survival of those who depend upon this critical area's resources to live. In August 2007, President Susilo Bambang Yudhoyono of Indonesia proposed the creation of the Coral Triangle Initiative, or CTI, a multilateral partnership to safeguard the region's resources. The CTI was launched in December 2007 and has since attracted global attention. Recognizing the significance of the CTI, the United States Agency for International Development, or USAID, approved the Coral Triangle Support Partnership Project, or CTSP. It is being implemented by a consortium of non-government environmental organizations, including WWF, the Nature Conservancy, and Conservation International. Part of project activities is providing assistance to the National Coordinating Committee, or NCC, in implementing the regional and national plans of action on the 5 CTI goals on seascapes, fisheries, marine protected areas, climate change adaptation, and species. As a result of project consultations with stakeholders, the University Mentoring Program was established in 2009. Local universities and centers of excellence in study and research work closely with local government units to implement the NPOA, ensuring that policymakers have access to meaningful scientific information, and academicians have the opportunity to conduct relevant research on site while learning from experts. In the Philippines, CTSP has 3 priority areas: Palawan, Tawi-Tawi, and the Verde Island Passage, all of which are areas rich in biodiversity.
This program focused on the major sites in Verde Passage, in Palawan, and Tawi-Tawi, mainly because of the importance of these marine ecosystems or this area in terms of productivity, fisheries, and biodiversity.
Palawan, the first of these priority areas, is considered the Philippines' last frontier in terms of environmental integrity, a hotbed for terrestrial as well as marine species. It is also a center of the live reef fish trade, or LRFT, being a leading source of the prized coral trout known locally as suno, the most heavily traded and one of the highest priced live reef fish in the world.
Life is very important here in our place. It's the number 1 livelihood of our municipality because people here are fishermen. Prices rise up from 20 pesos to 1,000 pesos. So most of the families here can already send their children to school.
The LRFT is worth $1 billion annually in Asia and the Pacific.
Ngayon po, medyo maganda-ganda. Ikaw, huli ka lang ng kaunti. Pira na.
Sa June hanggang October, balik kalmada. Maganda ang paglalaot ng mga bangka. Pagdating na naman ng October hanggang March, malakas ang alon, di makalaot yung mga bangka.
So, ito na po yung mga isda na ready for shipment. Pag natulog na siya, ilalagay po siya sa styrofoam na nakabalo sa cellophane, dadalhin nila sa airport, and then ikakarga po sa plane.
However, deadly practices like the use of sodium cyanide and the capture of juvenile fish before they reproduce are seriously endangering the world's oceans.
May medyo problema lang dahil sa ngayon medyo naramdaman ng mga tao yung pagbaba ng ng huli. Dahil ang source lamang po ngayon ng buhay-buhay ay sa wild.
Mawawala talaga ang lahat na suno dito at baka masisira pa rin ang kalikasan kung walang tulong sa mga tao dito para mag-develop yung live reef fish trade para maging mas sustainable.
In CTSP project sites in the municipalities of Taytay, Araceli, and Dumaran in Palawan, fisheries management plans are being developed. Three main goals of the CTI: adopting an ecosystems approach to fisheries management, establish marine protected areas, and climate change adaptation are being pursued through such efforts as the identification of spawning aggregation sites, the monitoring of coral reefs, and the identification of climate change adaptation measures.
We've seen a number of sites in terms of the live fish trade that basically collapsed because of overexploitation. And what we hope to see in Taytay is for the local governments and the different stakeholders to be able to resolve this issue, and so that the benefits of sustainable fishery can be enjoyed by the future generations.
Tawi-Tawi, the second priority area, is rich in coastal and marine resources, but ironically remains the poorest province in the Philippines.
Tawi-Tawi is a major producer of seaweeds in the country, and most of the people in Tawi-Tawi is also very much dependent on this livelihood.
It is the country's second largest producer of seaweed, an industry that is the people's main source of income.
Mahirap ang mga tao sa Kibuto. Kasi kung hindi dahil sa seaweeds, ang mga tao siguro nandun na sa Borneo, maghanap ng kabuhayan. Kung walang seaweeds, walang hanap buhay.
Tawi-Tawi's seaweed production was valued at $67 million in 2010. In the CTSP project sites in the municipalities of Languyan, Sitangkay, and Sibutu, the work involves promoting sustainable seaweed farming practices for greater economic stability and poverty alleviation, identifying potential new marine protected areas, and planning for climate change adaptation, a necessity in a place where the people live in houses on stilts and are completely dependent on rain as a water supply.
Kahit ang manusia ito makibuhi ulan. Pag walang ulan, talagang nahihirapan ang mga tao dito.
Ito baril kami, pangisihan bohe. Ni bohe ito ni inom, pamala, pangose, makapamandi. Bang umba na ulan sa gasupunglo, umba na niya bohe kami.
In the process, awareness is also raised among all Tawi-Tawi stakeholders on the need for good governance and participation in environmental management so that both responsibilities and benefits can be shared by all.
We are also assisting local governments in studying the vulnerability of this area in terms of in the event of climate change, and we look at the possible impacts of climate change on seaweeds and on their infrastructure, especially on the water in the event of climate change.
Verde Island Passage is the third priority area, a globally recognized center of marine shore fish biodiversity and a popular dive site for tourists from the Philippine capital of Manila. Mangrove nurseries and reforestation are the focus of a CTSP project site in Calatagan, Batangas, one of the largest municipalities in the passage, accounting for 25% of fisheries production in Batangas. Mangroves provide a breeding ground for such fish while also preventing coastal erosion, an important climate change adaptation measure.
Malaking tulong po ang nagagawa ng mangrove, lalo na po sa ating mga tao, sa ating paghinga, sa paglapit ng mga yamang dagat, sa mga bagyo o malalakas na hangin, alon. Isa sa mga priority projects namin ay ang mangrove reforestation and rehabilitation program na isa ito sa prioridad ng lokal na pamahalaan.
On June 25, 2010, the municipal government and USAID's CTSP led 200 volunteers in planting 10,000 mangrove seedlings along the Calatagan coast.
We get involved the whole organization, but it was planting, and we saw if those people not from Calatagan, they are doing this for us, how come we not do it for us?
The motivation and the determination of the local communities, and then you match that with the commitment of the local government unit, which is the Calatagan municipality, as well as the support of the development partner like USAID and Conservation International. Those three things are ingredients for the success of a conservation project like this one.
In San Juan, Batangas, fisheries management of the main local catch, called Dulong, includes identifying environmentally sound practices, such as policing net size and not catching juveniles of other species. In Lubang and Looc, Occidental Mindoro, where climate change is a significant concern, a pioneering climate-smart marine protected area has been declared by the two local governments in what has been a model case of good governance and efficient partnership. The CTI Plan of Action is a milestone undertaking, yet such large-scale and long-term efforts can only come to genuine fruition in site-specific projects when they are understood and implemented in the smallest villages in the Philippines and in the other CT6 countries, where they can truly renew perspectives, transform communities, and change lives.
Sa labi gihap na minbe palari mawak tutenaan manisos nisong pasar marikortyo makaya agar-agar.
Pilang ito po paghahanda po sa susunod na henerasyon po.
Dadak lang. Nasubaan ang tuburan alwa. Ang tanak ng bumiwan. Yan dyan.
The welfare of these people is foremost, and therefore the commitment is a full commitment to it because it is the welfare of our people.
The sheer number of species in the coral triangle will ensure that after the coral reefs of the world have faded into curtains of algae, that it is this part of the world where you will still find reefs. I guess that's what establishes the importance of the coral triangle. Because as we look toward tomorrow, it's the coral triangle that gives us the formula